With us now when we are discussing flood matters. Engineer Nze, we will begin with you.
Thank you.
We have had the background there. We have also had a news report on the flood outlook for 2021. But just indicate to our viewers, what are the highlights of the flood alert for this year? And so what makes it different from preceding years?
Okay, thank you. It was actually yesterday, 6th of May, that the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, made the public presentation of the flood outlook for 2021. And from the flood outlook as presented by the Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency, 28 states having 102 local government areas have been placed on red alert. In other words, 102 local government areas will experience a severe flooding. Parts of those 102 local government areas will experience severe flooding. In addition to another 302 LGS, which will cover the entire country with the FCT, are going to experience some degree of flooding of certain magnitude, but not as severe as the 102. Then the remaining 351, they may or may not have severe flooding. Actually, that is the summary of the prediction. So more or less, it goes across the entire country.
From the number you have given, the number of states and LGA's communities likely to be affected, if we do a comparative evaluation between what happened last year and this year, are there lessons learned?
Actually, the last, in terms of number of LGAs, this year's prediction is giving us higher number of LGAs that are likely to be inundated in the course of the year. So maybe as we progress into the year and into the discussion we are having, more facts may be made available. But from our prediction, we are seeing that more states, or more LGAs rather, will be affected in the course of the year. If you add 102 plus 302 is about 423. And again, like we always mention, this is a prediction, although predicated on facts, on figures, on measurements, physical measurements on site, because the agency has the measuring equipment across our rivers, major rivers in Nigeria and their tributaries, rivers Niger and Benue, which are transboundary, and we can't control what happens upstream of these two major rivers, and then the tributaries within Nigeria of these rivers. So anything could happen outside the shores of Nigeria, but we monitor it virtually on a daily basis so that we can be updating the nation.
Well, Engineer Nze, I still want to stay with you. I recall 3 years ago we had you in the studios, and that year, I think it was sometime in July or so, June or July, we had earlier had a conversation around the issue of expected rainfall and flood earlier that same year. Then that year, you said, look, the floods are still coming, and they will be heavy. And so we should be prepared. I remember you saying that, and you said that the key moments or the key times will be sometime in September of that year, 2018. And I never forgot that, because I took a flight from Abuja to Lagos. It was a propeller aircraft. So, you know, the altitude is usually limited, 14,000 to about 18,000 feet. And around the River Niger trough, we are there, the confluence area with River Benue, all you could just see was brown, indicative of brown waters. And it went on, you know, for several minutes into the flight, indicating a number of places that had been flooded. Of course, Anambra was also affected, Delta was affected, parts of Edo North were also affected. So, well, the rains are just starting now. But what is it that we can look out for in terms of the timing of this year's rains? Urban flooding, of course, arises from poor maintenance,
Yes.
and so on and so forth. But in terms of rainfall and in terms of the flow from the major tributaries that feed the tributaries that feed our major rivers, what is it that NISA should let us know?
One, it is an established fact. The year you mentioned, that was, or the month, that should be July. This is the climax, this period, or these 3 months of the year remains the major critical months of the year of flooding in Nigeria, what we call white flood. July, August, September. And at time, depending on what happens upstream, it could encourage until the middle of October. Like in 2019, it was as late as October 10th that Cameroon opened their dam. When there was no much rainfall in the northern part of Nigeria, the dam was open, like the dam in Cameroon, 10th of October. And they kept spilling water until 30th of October, 25th of October. And then, of course, Taraba, Adamawa, Benue, and Co. became submerged. Now, the pressure still remains the same. That this is the critical area when the rainfall in the northern part of Nigeria is heavy. For instance, from NIMET prediction, rainfall is supposed to begin, and it did actually, as they predicted it, from around 1st of March. But in Sapele, it was the 5th of February, along the coastal part of Nigeria. And when they tell you 1st of March 2021, that's rainfall onset by NIMET. You say plus or minus 5 days. And in the northern part of Nigeria, they said latest should be June 29th. Northern, maybe far north, like Sokoto, part of Katsina. Now, this is the period when it will begin to rain heavily in the country. I mean, northern part of Nigeria. And of course, whatever happens upstream within Nigeria, we find this the way down to the middle belts and then southern part of Nigeria. And also by this period, other countries northern, upstream of River Niger, like Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, Benin Republic, Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, will be having their major rainfall at this period. And it begins to come down to Nigeria. So the scenario still remains the same. But we track it to be able to inform the state governments contiguous to the rivers Niger and Benue as the flood evolution begins to manifest.